It's on you.
Hey, Beatty, you're muted.
Leave it to Black Dragon, man.
Oh, loud.
You mean no one heard anything I said?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No.
No.
All right.
Not a word.
No, you
Welcome to Black Dragon Biker TV. Round Table Sundays. Oh my goodness, man!
Your whole intro was muted.
It was.
The music.
Yeah,
The music.
Everything.
You really fucked up there this week.
Like I said, it ain't gonna be a good show unless Black Dragon's technical shit fucks up first. So it's gonna be a great show.
Going to be a great show.
All right.
You didn't get the music or nothing. I'm hurt here.
Nothing.
No, we didn't get to
Oh,
do
wow.
anything, man.
We got to
Okay.
see you skinny.
There's the music intro. Bounce, chicka, bow, bow. Let's do this.
All right, man. Hey, listen, this is a special show for me. I'm telling you, this is such a special show for me. And let me start off by saying, 5 years ago, when I decided to do this show, I saw this character on YouTube, and his name was Dibber in the Wind, and he's the godfather of this thing here. This guy here, if there's such a thing as what is it, the chalice of MC knowledge? What the hell is that? What do they call it?
He's the guy that drank out of the Holy Grail.
He's the guy who
He's the original guy that drank the Holy Grail. When the commandments were
He'll
stone.
bring down
the
the
guy
stone
that-
10 commandments with
You guys are looking at the man.
The guy that carried it from Egypt to the other.
Right.
He's the guy from which we all came.
He was the first Crusades general.
And
He said, that horse has got too many legs. Cut two of them off that fucker.
it is so cool to have Dibber in the Wind all the way from the United Kingdom at 1 o'clock in the morning. Dibber, man, thank you so much for being a guest on my show. This is an honor and a privilege, honor and respect to you, sir. It's good to have you here.
Yeah.
Man, wow. Say something to us, Dibber.
Don't fucking start me off already.
Wow.
You're
I
going
think Dibber's running through UK internet.
I'm on
It's good to have you, man. It's so good to have you, man.
Thanks, John. It was nice. It was nice. It was nice to chat. Have a proper chat, you know.
Yep.
Listen, we're gonna be talking about an interesting subject tonight. This one that Wild came up with. Appreciate you, Wild. And this is Wild. Go ahead and introduce the topic for us. And
Make sure. It's just because there's a lot of reason I came up with. There's a lot of people that always talk about who considers a club a legit club. There's always that question. Oh, people say that's not a legit club, or this one is, and it's who constitutes a club as legit, and if it's an organization or more a respect thing, or how about the way they did it? You know, they got to that place. So there's always a lot of questions up about that.
All right, so that's what we're going to talk about. But first,
Shaggy, mute your eating.
What, you never heard a real man eat before? I know your old lady's not used to that. You walk around in tight shirt.
It looks like you're going down on somebody down there, man. I just see your head bobbing. You're bobbing for apples.
oh,
I got a
my
midget
word.
on the table here. Leave me alone. I like midgets.
So we're going to go first to Dibber. To Hollywood. Hollywood asked for some time for us to start off. So Hollywood wanted to deliver a message, and Hollywood, go ahead and say what you got to say, bro.
Well, first of all, welcome Dibs, man. He is the godfather of all this. I remember when we all started out, it was watching Dibber in the Wind. He was just point blank on. I loved hearing his stuff about the UK. I loved hearing his stuff about Israel. It was just a very interesting deal for me personally. And to have him on the show is fantastic. So welcome, Dibs. It's awesome. Shaggy, Wild on Twos, Big Bone, and of course Black Dragon for doing this deal.
I would like to say though, big thanks to James, because James, like, by doing a feature on my trip out to Israel. And that's how I got to know of James. So,
that was just the most interesting video that you had, was the Israel thing to me, because, and you know what, it kind of correlates between channels. They all got along no matter what the religion is. We know it's a war zone over there, but the bikers came together. They didn't care, and they talked out their differences.
they still don't.
Now with
They still don't.
and that's one of the things I'm doing now is
The Federation.
oh yeah. And one of the thing
They've got a confederation now.
oh yeah. And one of the thing I've been doing is promoting the smaller channels in hope of getting other creators out there coming together. But there happens to be one, and I'm getting sick and tired of all the coded talk back and forth between the channels. I'm not going to say too much because I ain't going to get your channel banged, BD. I've been doing a series, which, by the way, Discovery Plus, reach out to me because you used my stuff on your series with Andrew Glick. Now, you got a schmuck over there right now talking on his channel about how we shouldn't talk about one percenters being rats. Well, let me tell you something. I got a friend, Freddie Angelo, ex-pagan, or he might be a current pagan, doing life in prison for something he didn't do because a guy couldn't take a 40-year bit on his own, so he had to decide to turn on Freddie. Tell that to Pike and Portillo, whose National Sergeant at Arms ratted them out. They now got a life in prison deal where he only got 5 years. Tell that to my buddy Rooster Katana, former pagan that started the Sutar Soldiers. So I don't want to hear this God Almighty stuff about how, you know, and I know we got one percenters in here. These are actually, by the way, guys, the true one percenters on your social media. Not a dude that came from a club that had a bunch of COs and cops in it. That ain't a 1% club. I don't care what anybody says. Well, they were blessed. Yeah, they were blessed. They were handed the diamond. They can't get into the club politics, but as biker news as I can, because I'm getting sick of the back and forth. 4 years. BD has more time backing up his bike than he has in this scene, and he wants to call himself the Holy Grail. Fine. The Holy Grail made his channel on the back of Black Dragon's channel. Every video you see there came from his channel. Now he wants to talk Culture Vulture. He's the biker version of Al Bundy, except he don't sell shoes. He sells everything under the planet and pushes it. Now, positivity's great. But when you have friends that are serving life sentences for this crap, don't sit here and tell me or anybody else not to talk about it. Now, you want to be positive, fine. Be you. I'm a different platform. But you sure to hell ain't no Holy Grail Skeletor. And by the way, give Marvel Comics back their Ghost Rider that you took. It seems like you love taking everything without giving the credit. I'm going to say it because that's just the way my platform is. 4 years you've been in this. 4. And you're not even in your club. And I wonder something. Why the hell didn't you do a video about how to properly leave an MC when you left? Why? Because it doesn't fit your narrative. God forbid. And you know what? A true 1%er, because you threw out your bullshit lies about Daytona, would have walked down Main Street with their cut on. But no, you went and said Nobody was wearing their stuff. That's a fucking lie. We all know who's down there. So to come and say, don't talk about this. Well, it needs to be talked about because there's an innocent man doing life in prison right now. And to get a little personal, and again, this ain't against all 1%ers, but when you have a 19-year-old kid facing life that wouldn't roll over, yeah, I'm going to get a little pissed about grown-ass men who are supposed to be hardcore turning. That's what I have to say. But the whole fucking
I got a question. Hey, Big Bone, back me up on this if you want to. How about you too, Dibber? Wald, you too. Don't say that 1%ers are rats if they're rats. Why the fuck do we do a background check? I could swear we're doing background checks and passing that information around, and the importance of it is see if anybody's ever seen this guy, knows him, whatever. The scene talks to each other. Like if there's a guy out there that that gut feeling like, man, there's something not right about that dude. I've heard story after story after story over the years. 1%ers saying, hey, when there's a rat out there, he is to be defined, clearly pointed out. Am I wrong in that? I mean, have I missed something today?
Nah, you didn't miss nothing. I'll tell you what, you didn't miss nothing. So here's what happens. I'm going to try not to jump all over the place with this one. The reason that there is a COC throughout all over the country, I think every state's got at least one. Some states have like 3, like in Florida, But the reason that the COC started is because there was a war that was being waged against. I'm not talking about MCs against MCs and OMCs and 1%ers and all that. I'm talking about, because all that stuff do what it does. I'm talking about the government against us. That's why the COC was created in the first place, so that we would have an opportunity and an environment where we could communicate. The pirates used to, back in the old day, they called it a parlay, but it was just an organization where we can talk about our stuff, right? So flash forward a little bit. One of the things that came out of that, one of the things that's been pretty consistent for a lot of years is if there's a rat in the mist, rats are bad for everybody. So it doesn't matter whether it's my club or doggone invaders or whomever. If I know that there's a rat out there, if he's going to get down with them and infiltrate them, or he's doing different things, and it doesn't even have to be infiltration. It could be, he might be a hang around. He might be a probie who's been to 5 different clubs, which is why, again, club hoppers are a concern because some club hoppers are getting paid by the government to do that. Anyway, so the long story short of it is, if I have information that somebody's working for the government, well, I'm damn sure going to get on the horn, or not usually on the horn, but I'm going to meet up with some folks, a lot of times in person, and let them know our concerns. And they're going to do the same exact. We don't even have to be on the same page about shit else, but that's something right. We can get on the page about.
That's right. And you're absolutely right when it comes to the COC, and that's part of the whole thing. They flat out tell you them lawyers come to every one of them meetings. They go to the INCOM meetings, and the first thing they say, if there are any goddamn cops in here, get out. It's a conflict of interest. Period. We can't talk who the rats are. Man, we need to know who them fucking cocksuckers are.
Hey, I'll give you a thing that came up a few months back. There was this one guy out of Georgia, out of North Georgia, and he had relocated to North Florida, and not even in my area. He relocated to North Florida, and the dominant in that area, because he was going to be moving to my area because he had some so-called brothers that were in my area. And he said, hey, my first cousin and I hope you're watching, my first cousin and I want to start a club. We're military minded and so forth. And, we're in the military. I said, okay. After digging into it a little bit more, I'm talking to the guy and he says, well, I need to connect with the COC because I'm having some issues with dominance in other states. I'm like, well, dominance in other states don't have nothing to do with me. That's not what I do. He goes, yeah, but in your area, I'd have to talk to you. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much correct. So he goes, well, we're starting a chapter in North Georgia, and my cousin's the president of that, and I'm going to be the president down here, and da-da-da-da. I said, okay. I said, is the club in North Georgia up and running? Yeah, they got everything going, except for they haven't been blessed yet. I said, well, what's the holdup? Just through conversation, he tells me, well, with the way that he works, and some folks have an issue because they say he's a cop. I'm like, they say he's a cop or he's a cop? He goes, well, he's a police officer up here, but he works for a small jurisdiction and not a big deal. So I said, and your club is the same club, right? He said, yeah. So I said, okay, well, let me keep it simple. No. He goes, what? I said, no. He goes, no, what? No, we don't have anything else to talk about. You're a cop club. He goes, no. My cousin in Georgia is the cop. I'm not a cop, and my members here aren't cops. I said, if you've got one cop in your club, it's a cop club. The cop's job is to lock us up. It doesn't matter, whether you did something or didn't do something. They have a certain narrative and a certain group of marching orders that they're working under. And they have a tendency to paint us with a real wide brush. Their job, like I was told a long time ago, their job is to lock you up. Our job is to stay the hell out of jail and to embrace this freedom that we all proclaim to love so well. And you can't do that. You can't ride your motorcycle if you're behind bars, right? So long story short, in my first club that I was ever in, we had bylaws like everybody else. And I wish some of those brothers were on here tonight. But the first rule of that club was no cops. The second rule of that club was refer to number one because it's no cops. Third rule of that club, or the third rule of that in our bylaws was no motherfucking cops. So literally it was in black and white. No cops, no motherfucking cops. So I think I think you see where I'm going with that.
You guys had the MF word in your bylaws?
Yeah.
Yes, it actually was. It was literally
kind of business.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So now that we've got these things out
Major
of the way,
conflict of interest, though, isn't it?
go ahead, Dibber.
It's a conflict of interest. Cops and fucking, in motorcycles.
It is.
Get the fuck out.
Dibber,
Yeah, shit.
something has gone wrong with your
conflict.
sound, and I hate that because we sound checked before the show, but your sound is cutting in and out.
1, 2.
Yeah, it's
Not
cutting.
really. It's still cutting in. No, it's cutting. It's fucking it.
Hey, on a total side note, I've been binge watching this thing on Amazon or something like that called Ted Lasso, and it's based in the UK. So I'm getting the extra treat. I just finished watching a little earlier. I'm getting the extra thrill out of hearing from Dibber, even though your mic is messing up a little bit. I dig it. I'll do my phony Brit accent later on.
No,
The reason why I brought it up is because it was personal to me. Discovery Plus used my stuff on this stuff, and I get it. Everybody.
What do you mean use your stuff? They took some of your video, did they?
They took some of my video and used it in the series with Andrew Glick. Here this guy is sitting there starting out, getting tattooed, talking about how he got busted 40 years and he had to make a decision if he was going to serve or if he was going to turn one of his guys in. Anybody that knows Freddie can tell he's one of the 60 hippie bikers, man. And this is kind of the stuff that draws me in where people say, well, you're always defending them. You know what? I try to walk a fine line between everything I do. Yeah, I get some stuff right, some stuff wrong. But to hear, and me and you have been covering this for years as far as biker news, BD, about some of these high-profile guys. Pike and Portillo had about 10 turn on him. And this is supposed to be about brotherhood. You can't sit there at somebody's table, break bread with them, and then turn on them. You just can't do that. And to be saying, well, we got to talk all positive. We can't be talking about that bad stuff. Well, wait a second here. If you guys actually talked about it, Falco would have went between two clubs and took down other guys. You wouldn't have a guy like Finger Johnch on YouTube right now telling these YouTube morons that don't know their head from their ass about how to start a motorcycle club. He infiltrated 2 clubs, guys.
Yeah, I called him
you
out
not
on
get
it, and then
that?
he wrote some shit on one of my comments, like, hey, we still love the lifestyle. And I said, I don't care what you say, man. You're a goddamn cop, and you're bragging about and trying to teach people how to live my lifestyle. Really, really? That tells me
Right.
that you enjoyed what you did, and you didn't report everything you did, and you still want to be a part of what you did, but you're a fucking cop. Now, I
Right.
will say this. We came on here to do a show about a certain thing. We've got a very great guest on here that it took a long time to get here. We've been doing this 22 minutes, so let's get back to the topic. And just remember, snitches are a dying breed.
I just
They
want
used to
Dibber's mic to start working.
Yes, Dibber.
Is it work? Is it
Yeah.
is now?
Hold on. That sounded good.
Good.
Yeah, it's like I don't hear
Is that
anything
bad?
from this.
It's in and out, brother. It's in and out.
Stupid
It sounds good there.
StreamYard bullshit.
He
Yeah.
likes your cussing.
All right, so let's get to that. 22 minutes in. Let's get down to our topic. So, who proclaims who is a legitimate club? And I think this is kind of interesting. When I was doing my research for this, and of course, we always, in the United States, we have this issue with pop-up clubs and this sort of thing. And I was just online looking for a picture to use for my my lead-in. And as I'm looking for a picture, I type in legitimate motorcycle club. And I come to this thing that talks about how to start your motorcycle club. Hey, baby. And when I'm looking at this thing, how to start your motorcycle club, it's kind of interesting. When I'm looking at this thing, how to start your motorcycle club, what the hell is this? It's kind of interesting.
Is that you, Shaggy?
Yeah. I screwed up here. I got it fixed.
Okay. I thought that was StreamYard. I was like, oh my goodness. Okay. So as I'm looking up this thing on how to start your motorcycle club, you've got, I had no idea that you had all of these YouTube channels that actually showed you, not YouTube channels, but pages, these web pages that talk about how to start motorcycle clubs. And here's one on WikiHow, and it gives you all the steps you need to start a motorcycle club. And the thing actually has for each step, it has a link, and like this one right here. This is the link that you can go to. So you actually go to this link, and boom, here are pastimes as how to start a motorcycle club. And then you come down here to the next step, and here's a link. You go to this link, the research source. Boom, Wolfpack Motorcycle Club in Oakland. And this, when these kids are using this stuff to start these clubs, I mean, I had no idea this kind of thing existed, and only do they thin veil do they ever really actually say anything that's close to the truth that someone could actually see. It's kind of terrifying. So this is the information that these young folks are getting. And there is link after link after link of this stuff. So, I thought it was interesting how quickly I found it and how much there really is.
You know what I find interesting is I don't understand, why can't these people just go up to the club and ask instead of, you got the true 1% doing it now, like Shaggy and Big Bone and Dibs. But why not just walk up to the club? That's the way it used to be, instead of trying to find information everywhere else.
these websites would be absolute fucking useless because all packed.
We lost half of
Well,
that.
I'm going to tell you what, man. You'll never see how to start a motorcycle club conversation from my channel. You know, there are so many clubs across this world. And this saying is said all the time around here. There's enough clubs out there that, you know, find one where you fit in, man. Get in where you fit in, as they say. The other thing, too, is, you know, if you're going to start something that's original, man, that's not going to happen anymore. I mean, there's a club out there for goddamn everything. I hear the term bloated all the time. And, you know, honestly, I watched states that I had been around, you know, and started in this life, had 5, 6 clubs to include the dominant club in the area. And till about 8, 9, 10 years ago, it went from 5, 6, 7 clubs. Everybody knew everybody. The community was small. You couldn't go anywhere without running into somebody you knew or met over the years. And now in one little area, there's 50, 60, 70 clubs, and nobody knows anybody. Nobody supports anybody's shit no more. Nobody rides together and gets together. Why? Because there's too much stuff out there. And then here you get this term, supporter. So it used to be we supported the community. But because there's so many clubs out now, if you go out and support somebody's stuff and you don't have time to make it to everybody's shit, now you're a supporter for them guys, and then you don't like them guys. That's stupid. Wow, I just that's a new website. I'm really gonna have to check that out because I'm curious. When you click on them links, it sounds like a Ponzi scheme to me, but you click on them links at every one of those sites that you just jump to, if those are cop clubs.
Well, you know something, and you just talked about being original, and they already ready for your behind because they got on here how to be
original
and how to come up with with an original thing. They say motorcycle clubs might not want you to come into the area, so you need to be original, and it talks about how to do that. I swear to God.
I just started.
It's like Big Bone. I mean, Big Bone and Shaggy and Dibber and stuff. What kind of groups of people do you see actually trying to start clubs? What would be the reason that you see majority of the people try to start a club and not join a club like a bigger club or a traditional club? What are types of
people that don't want to prospect?
I disagree with that.
Big Bone, you're muted.
Oh, sorry about that. I was saying the 3 Ps is the same reason you get these a lot of cats who want to join a certain club are the same exact reason to some degree that you get guys that want to start club. Now there's the 3 Ps, which damn near catches everything. That's pussy, power, and protection, right? That's why they want to join your club, because somebody's going to beat their ass. They're with you guys and they're safe all of a sudden. Pussy, because they couldn't get it on their own, but as soon as they get that magical patch, they're 10 foot tall, bulletproof with an 8-inch, you know, like that, right?
That's profiling.
Yeah. Well, there's the there's the pussy, there's the protection, and then there's the power. The power is, man, those guys look cool. I like the way that they look when they're riding from point A to point B, or they're all wearing that same cool ass jacket, not even a vest, it's a jacket because they don't know no damn better. But anyway, so the thing is that now you have some of these cats who, and this is some new stuff. It used to happen back in the 70s, late 60s and 70s with all the advent of all the biker movies that were out. At that time, they were just cranking them out left, right, and sideways. They were a bunch of garbage stuff, but they appealed to a certain genre. So you had guys way back then who all of a sudden wanted to be in a damn club. And now you got with Sons of Anarchy and all this stuff, you got these guys again. And I don't know what the hell it is, but let me try to kill it.
Well, off of what Big Bone is saying, I don't know, somebody, but off of what Big Bone's saying is these guys that are starting this, and I get this all the time being chairman of COC here in Missouri. They'll start, hey man, I want to start this club. I got all these buddies together, blah, blah, blah. And I'll go back and forth with them for sometimes a couple of texts, sometimes a week, sometimes a month. But when I finally get down to the nuts and bolts of everything with them, and they'll get frustrated with the constant, hey, this is what you got to do. This ain't the COC's job. Here's what you got to do. Here's what you got to do. Well, when it comes down to it, they finally say, well, I just don't think I have to prospect. I don't want to prospect. I don't want somebody telling me what to do. And every case that I've had in the last 6 years of guys wanting to start new clubs, that's exactly what it boils down to. I don't want to prospect.
Well, I've heard that. I've heard that sometimes. I see a lot of these guys, and they're not all lame brains that don't want to prospect. These guys want to have a true brotherhood, and they want to have a brotherhood of their own. For whatever reason, they want to define it themselves. They want to say what it is. They want to be in charge of their destiny.
I like how you put it on, Big. I like how you put that. I'll stop you right there. I mean, interrupt you. But you said they want to have a brotherhood of their own. I'm in a brotherhood of my own. This is where I belong. Big Bone's in a brotherhood of his own. He's on his own. Dibber's in a brotherhood of his own. Wild was in a brother. You're in a brotherhood of your own. That's a bullshit way to put it, but you're absolutely right, because that's the way they think. I want a brotherhood of my own. Yeah. When you join a motorcycle club, you become a part of that brotherhood. It becomes yours. So it's a brotherhood of your own.
Yeah, I think a lot of times you see, like I saw someone put there, most likely it'll be ex-cops, right? No one wants to put them in the club. Ex-cops start their own clubs. You have guys might be in shitty little towns that have a dominant, but they don't want to be part of that dominant or that support club, and there's no one else in that area other than that dominant or something. I've seen that before. And I've seen the ones that don't want to prospect, the ones that want to get bigger, something bigger than themselves, but not try out. Or maybe they went somewhere else and couldn't cut it. And, I've seen so many things, so many different angles on it. Of course, then you have not only considering starting a RC or starting an MC or even a diamond club, because you have people starting, 1% clubs, throwing patches on and rolling around. And, that's another catch-22. I mean, why ask permission if you want to be a 1%er? You get that question, right? If you're a true 1%er, are you going to ask permission, or are you going to tell people you're going to be there? But then you got to back it up too. So that's a big difference. I mean, they can kind of go into a little rabbit hole.
You took the words.
What I don't understand is why not doing a traditional where you're a part of you're not only a part of the brotherhood of your own club, but you're a part of the brotherhood of clubs, meaning you're a part of everybody. You don't have to sit and hide in your backyard and play Sons of Anarchy. No, you're involved with everybody. You're going to parties. That's what I never understood about that.
You know what? I'll tell you what, Hollywood. This used to come up a lot with me. Like way back in the old days, I was the state boss for this 99 club for quite a while, and I had a whole damn county by myself while I was moving in that direction. And it happened a lot where some folks would show up, usually, like a group of them, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 folks. And they were like, hey, we want to start a club and we want to be the Walmart riders or the
Amazons. Hey, you guys told me, man. I got ran up with a Kmart old forgotten receipt.
My oldies with my half-off diamond.
Oh, yeah. And the Amazon bad boys or whoever. But so here's the thing, though, is that when these folks would approach me and they come to the clubhouse and they want to ask the questions and when can we get started and here's our stuff and blah, blah, blah. So I gave the same little canned sort of speech to every single person. In particular, if it was somebody I had never seen before, somebody who's never been to anybody's clubhouse, who's never been to a proper bike night or, any of that. So my thing was, listen, on day one, the first question was, well, why do you want to start a club? Especially when there's so many already out here. Do you know any of these folks? Have you spent any time with them? Do you know anything about motorcycle clubs? Have you done any homework? And pretty consistently, the answer was no, don't know none of those folks, never been in a club, nothing about a club. So my next instruction was, well, you know what? So the answer for you guys right now is no, because you don't know anything. So you need to take the next year. We're not going to even entertain this conversation for a year. And over the next year, I want to see you guys. I want y'all to get out, spend some time with different clubs, not as a club, just as individuals. If y'all are good friends, is what it is. But let's start there. Well, how about you learn how this stuff works? And pretty consistently in the process of those ones that were doing that, the ones that actually followed the instructions, said, sure, I'm going to do that, pretty much all of them would find their way into a club that was already on set. The ones that never did were folks that weren't going to be a part of a club anyway, because they just sort of went the way of the dinosaur. You never heard from them again. And you might run into them at Walmart while they're in the parking lot where they were driving their car or something, and they sold a bike. Or you find out they never even had a bike. They just wanted to have that really cool vest. So that's like a big part of it. I'll tell you. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you, but with Dibs.
Whoa. Who's got the dial up? I thought we were about out of that phase.
The old Dibber is gone.
Hey, Dibber's here.
Now with Dibs, it must be foreign to him, because as far as I heard, the UK is real tight in what they do and what they allow. So how is it different for you, Dibs?
Let me just get this set up so that I'm not fucking causing everyone grief. Right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Hear you perfect.
My question was the UK.
In the UK, right? If you want to start a club in the UK, you have to get your club sanctioned. You have to get your patches blessed, and that can only be done by your local coalition or your local alliance or whatever they call them, and they're regional. If they say no patch, then it's no patch. End of story. You know, it's very, very strict over here. You can't just go out and start a club up willy-nilly and start just prancing around with colours on. It's very strict.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this. I like the system we have over here. It is a very strict system that we have over here, and it's worked for us for like near on 30 odd years.
So when you hear stuff like you're hearing now that happens in the States, even Canada, do you shake your head and go like, what the hell? Because it's foreign to you.
I shake my head at a lot of stuff, like the fact that riding clubs can wear a back patch. riding clubs can't wear a fucking back patch over here, I'm telling you. That's an earned position.
So, Dibs, it's cool you said it that way, because, you know, I can remember back in the day too. You didn't. It seems like today's day and age, that's the way to go. If you're in a riding club, then hey, you're nobodies, right? And riding clubs, you did see t-shirt clubs, but riding clubs, there might be one in the whole area. Now there's 1,000.
Well, there's a lot of clubs that say they're a riding club, but they kind of transition themselves acting like MCs, doing everything as an MC, going to MC events, and it was just a way around for them to be able to not get a no from somebody. I've seen that before. I mean, not saying all of them.
You see, this is why I'm glad we've got the system that we've got, right? Because if you want to put a patch on, right? If you want to put a patch on as a riding club, a rally club, you know, an MCC, you've got to go and talk to the local or regional alliance or coalition of clubs in the area where you are. It's that simple. It's that simple. You can't just go throwing shit up on your jacket and just start prancing around. You just can't do it.
You're muted. You're muted. What, Big Bone?
Big Bone, you're muted.
Big Bone, you're muted. You're in that mute button, man.
Nice.
Still
muted, Big Bone.
But I'll tell you, the thing is this, is that a lot of what we're talking about right now is geographical. And what I mean by that is, in some states, it's exactly what Dibber just said. As a riding club, you're not going to have anything. You know, maybe T-shirts. That's a riding club. Now you got nowadays, and I saw this throughout different parts of the country, and even here in Florida, where riding clubs, and this is the big thing, a riding club traditionally is when it comes to patches, maybe they had a one-piece patch. Now, here's the thing. I say that geographically speaking, because if you're talking about on the West Coast, there's diamond clubs who wear one patch. It's been that way for forever. But on the East Coast, a one-piece patch denotes that club is in transition. They will start with a one-piece patch. Then if they're in transition to becoming an MC, then there'll be a top rocker. And then later on, should it come that way, or should they be blessed to do so, then there'll be a bottom rocker, right? And then later on, even MC cube or MC on either side, but that's a transitional thing. So historically, that's what that means on this side of the United States. Now, here's the thing that's going on now, and here's how the culture is getting fucked up. And I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this one because I know some of the folks that listen to this. But there's certain dominants who are slapping a state rocker, different conversation, slapping a state rocker on sport bike clubs, or these guys who 20 minutes ago they were in t-shirts and now they're running around with a bottom rocker that says the name of my state, and now these guys think that they're the same as me, and you've been on your motorcycle for a year and don't know jack about this culture. The problem with that is that, again, now this is something that goes back to this is the fault of the dominant that allowed that shit, because if they're going to ignore the history, if they're going to ignore the tradition and the culture of what we do, then how are you teaching that guy on his Kawazuki 750? He don't know anything. He just got, if anything, he just got all of that activity was confirmed for him that, yeah, I'm doing everything the right way. And in fact, you're just as wrong as the guy that told you to do it. But the other thing, I'll say this and then shut the hell up and let somebody else talk for a minute. In regard to these guys just popping up and doing their thing and, hey, I'm a riding club, so I don't have to do anything. In some areas, that's the case. Thank God that's not the case here. But in some places, it's the inmates running the asylum, so to speak. These guys come up with anything that they think of. They saw 2 episodes of Sons and they figure, hey, I'll do that. And they do. In some places, they let them get away with it.
Over here, it's strict. It's been very strict for a long time. Obviously, yourself, if you've done the research on the clubs over here, we had our troubles of our own.
Yeah.
The lumps and bumps you can see on my head and stuff were from those days, from the 1980s when things were really fucking nasty.
Yeah.
Now, so we have regional coalitions or alliance, or they might even call themselves by another name, but they're regional. That it's going to be what is considered to be the dominant 1% club that's going to be sitting at the top of the table. It usually, is. And you go to them. If you want to start a club, you go to them. You put what your idea to them, what you want to do. You put the color scheme to them, what you want to do, the name and everything. And if they think that's going to, be okay, well then, that's your blessing. You're ready to roll. And that's how it is. And I personally think that's how it should be everywhere.
Yeah.
Well,
everywhere.
See, I like how you put that because I like how you put that, Dibs, because I know from experience from when I got out of the service and I came back home 15, 16 years ago in my former organization I was in, that club was very strict about doing things the right way, following all the protocols. But we had run into a situation where we had never dealt with the club like we dealt with here in the Midwest. We knew a lot of the clubs we were dealing with on the East Coast. So with it being a regional thing, you have to learn, the ropes and shit like that. So we had to literally, sit down with this club and get to who, what, when, where, and how. And it's a very unnerving and rattling situation. It's a hell of an experience, I'm here to tell you. But the other thing, too, is there's a point that they made, and it's something that stuck with me for so long, and it still to this day sticks with me. Man, if you're going to start a club and you're going to be in an area, the one thing that stuck with me that they said is you got to be a part of this community. You need to go and know all the clubs and not just so much get blessed by them, because it's not getting a blessing by them, but it's, you being able to be in an area. That dominant club's going to call the other clubs and say, "Hey, man, are these guys doing all right? Or are they causing troubles? Are they causing problems on the scene?" And if they are, you're not going to get a blessing. You've got to be a part of the community. You got to ride your motorcycle, be out there, be seen. Not be the all these half percenters and being a bunch of dumbasses. You got to be out there and not be a problem, because we got enough problems. We don't. I believe in all areas where there's dominance, the biggest thing they're trying to do is stop a lot of these outward problems, because we got enough problems of our own that are brought in.
Well, I got a question for Big Bone and Shaggy or Dibs. This is more of an American thing, but do you guys think the toothpaste is out of the tube now, where it's too much to control these pop-up clubs?
No. I say no.
No, over here it's pretty always under control. It's pretty well. That's why I like the system that we got here, because it's very much under control. If it's that's just how it is, and that's how I like it. I'm old school. See, that's the system I came up through. So, and I know that it works.
I don't think so either.
Oh,
I don't think and I think it can be controlled. It's just been a real chaotic time right now with the MC community, because of a few others on the scene that are juking and jiving, and just like with anything, man, you can explain it about clubs, or you can explain it about the MC scene. It's like an ebb and flow from the ocean, man. 1 minute the tide's up real high, the next minute it's real low. I think for the most part, though, with the conversations I've had across the country with other clubs, and my connections with the INCOM and the COC, that the MC community is just really they've been taking the last couple of years trying to figure this mess out, and I think they've kind of got it figured out to where, okay, enough's enough. There's just way too much baloney going on, and it's time for it to stop. And things are changing, and I think they're changing for the good. The first part of it is a lot of the unified fronts that are happening, a lot of the peace agreements that are going on, a lot of the adulting and leadership that's being done. And one of the things that a lot of clubs are talking about is stopping this chaotic growth of brand new clubs everywhere. It's really, really hurting the scene, because these clubs that are starting up and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And they don't want to listen to nobody. They want to do it their own way, because they want to make their own niche in the world. But what they don't realize is those niches are just like, just like with the internet, man. When you put something out there on the internet, you can't take it back. So when you screw up in the MC community, we may do some pretty dumbass things, and we may you may think we don't remember too much, but the MC community's got a mind like an elephant, man. They don't forget a damn thing. And when your club screws up, trust me, nobody forgets.
So
hold
on here. A couple things. One is we got a question from off the board. Someone has asked, and I hear this a lot. So, do you guys think that crotch rocket clubs, sport bike clubs, can be traditional MCs? Can they get their blessing as a traditional MC, as it were, in the UK or here in the States?
I've seen them. You got to bear in mind, in the UK, we ride all sorts over here. You're on my friends list. You see what sort of bikes people ride over here. It's not all Harley Davidson. I mean, what you'll find is with the American type clubs that have come over here, it's going to be all Harley Davidsons, But with the other clubs, you're going to see a lot of everything else.
So,
you're not necessarily crotch rockets, with all fairings and all that stuff. Although, I mean, myself, I wore a patch, as Shaggy knows, back in the day, 20 years ago when we used to chat. I used to ride a Rothman's Honda VFR, and I used to wear a patch. So, I don't think it's the bike that makes the man anyway. So, Yeah, I've never been of that opinion. It's
Well, I'll tell you, Dibber. While I understand, especially being in the UK, I get where you're coming from with that. The thing is, though, is I'll try to keep this short. There's a reason and a tradition behind the whole American bike. It's not even all Harley, but like there's what is that? Doggone Indian or Harley
Victory.
or
Victory was a big thing.
and like that.
Gold
And then
wing.
there's all the arguments that go in with that. But so here's the thing: in regard to the sport bike club, there are I'll think there's a club called LOD, Legion of Doom. They're in different parts of the country. They are a true sport bike club in the sense that, and there's been guys in that club for 20 years, and they ride sport bikes, and they make no bones about it. That's what they do. However, the way that club is conducted, I know several of them in different parts of my state and other states. They move, operate, they walk the walk, they talk the talk as a traditional club. And here's the thing: they're not trying to put on a Florida bottom rocker, because that's not what they do. They understand the history and the tradition of it. They are in every sense of the word, they're a traditional club. The bikes that they ride are not of a traditional motorcycle club, but everything else is pretty consistent. So I guess the more correct question would be, can a sport bike club be a legitimate, respected, recognized club? And the answer for that would be yes. Are these clubs proper? Are these clubs going to put on a diamond one day? About that, I'd say no. Should these clubs have a state bottom rocker? I say no, because the history of our thing says that no, you're not. You're not supposed to do that. There's a whole lot that goes along with that. But so, I guess.
I understand that whole thing with the American bike and all the rest of it. We used to have it here with the British bikes.
Yeah,
you weren't a real biker unless you rode a British bike, and then the British motorcycle industry disappeared up its own rectum.
Right.
And it was basically it was killed by Honda. Honda brought a bike over here that was faster, a smaller engine, more durable, more reliable, and it suited our weather, and the rest is history. I mean, and you have to also bear in mind, at one point, Harley Davidsons, you couldn't even import them into the UK at one point. There was an actual ban on Harley Davidsons being imported into the UK after World War II.
So when I speak of
but now, obviously, Harley Davidson is a big name. Riding an American motorcycle is there with a lot of the MCs. But like I'm saying, I've seen MCs out there with guys riding everything from Harley Davidsons through to Buells, through to Indians, through to Victories, right the way through to Kawasaki's like mine. I ride a VZ800, and I've also seen guys, and I've also worn a patch and rode a sports bike. We haven't got that American tradition here. You see,
my club, we have always been we started off as a traditional race club. We all had race bikes in the 70s, and most people in my club had two bikes and still do. They would have a race bike to get up and down the track, and they've got in the early days we had choppers, and none of those choppers were Kawasaki and all kinds of stuff that were raked and ridden out. We've never had a bike requirement in my club. It's always been whatever the hell you can ride. It just seems, though, however, that as the years have gone by and the guys have grown up, 99.9% of them are on some kind of American steel now. But that's not a requirement.
I got a question for you, BD.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this might explain the sport bike scene that he was asking about. You were intimately involved in the Biker Boys, that movie.
Right.
Now, they're talking crotch rockets or rice burners, whatever it is. Wasn't that one scene where all the clubs got together at the table to grant permission for that new club? Is that true or false?
Yeah, that was true, and it happened. And the really cool thing about shooting that, that scene in particular, so dedicated were we to try to show what really happens. Every single person at that table was an actual motorcycle club president of an actual motorcycle club.
Really? Who the fuck would Kid Rock in charge of?
With the exception of Shaggy. With the exception of the movie stars.
So in essence, it's two different sets.
Well,
The crotch rocket scene and the regular biker scene.
On the black set, it's always been a little bit. Are you gonna? Was that what you're gonna address, Big Bone?
Yeah, I'm jumping up and down about this one. So
go ahead. I'll let you have
that. So I was on the board of one such group. I almost don't want to brand it, but there's a group in this area called the TBA. The TBA is something different now than what it was years ago. But when I was on the board of the TBA, it was basically like a small COC for local sport bike clubs. And all of those, there was every now and again, there was a guy in a club who was on a cruiser, not necessarily even a Harley. And it was very much the same. It's much the same as sort of this, like the COC. So what you saw in that movie, in theory, a lot of what you saw in that movie was very consistent with how these different councils went, and they're typically referred to as councils. So it's not too much different. And in fact, when I mentioned a little earlier how these folks would come to me and basically ask for a blessing to set up a club and so forth, I was speaking one as of who I was in the community, but also my position in the in that TBA that was going on at the time. I got to do a quick throwback too. Dibber, a lot of what you're saying now in regard to the American bikes in the UK and the history of it and like that is very similar to what clubs like mine experience. Because see, in the United States, if you were black back in the day, you couldn't go to Harley and buy a Harley. I'd have to go and get me some money, and I'd have to call doggone Shaggy and say, Shaggy, I'd like that new Road Glide. I'd give Shaggy some money. Shaggy's my boy, so he's going to go to Harley. He's going to buy that bike and then give me if we're friends, he's just going to give me the title to it and sign it over. If not, you had to find some guy else. Maybe you had to give him an extra $500 or something in order to do that for you, because you could not walk into Harley Davidson and buy that bike, because they literally, like, you talk to some of these old guys and say, hey, that's a white man's bike and you don't rate to buy it.
Talk to me, I'll tell you.
Or maybe if you found a guy who had one that's been sitting in the garage for a few years and he was ready to get rid of it and he didn't give a damn who bought it, maybe you could get it that way. But a lot of clubs,
and then you would have the problem of riding down the street and white folks getting upset with you.
That was the other thing.
N-word, what are you doing on a Harley?
Yeah.
When I first started this show, Dibber can attest. I mean, that 5 years ago, just 5 years ago, what the hell are you doing talking about biker life? So it was one of the reasons why I never really got a Harley, because I was pissed off and mad. And it's kind of funny, I put up a video today and where all my brothers were screaming and hollering. I put up a video on my Instagram, Black Dragon Biker TV, of me riding a Harley, and you can hear all my brothers screaming, dragons on a Harley, dragons on a Harley. Unbelievable. Because when I went to go get my first Harley in Oceanside in about 1986, I walked up to the door and the man told me, hey, why don't you go around the corner and buy another Suzuki like the one you're riding on? Who tells a customer that?
Yeah.
Harley Davidson.
Hey,
guys, I gotta cut out of here. I got a members only deal going on in Discord. Awesome seeing you, Dib, man. I can't wait to get our stuff
for me.
Yeah, look, next time I'll make sure that I'll use my phone and we'll do it this way. It's obviously a lot better with the phone than it is with the computers.
Well, I can't wait to get our thing going about the history around the world on motorcycling, talking to people all over the world. That's going to be fun. But you guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Yeah, and I was just going to mention and comment about a few things. I know we were talking about the topic, and my thing is I don't mind if someone tries to maybe start a club, but as long as you do it the right way per se, right? Like earning a diamond. Eric put a comment on there that I saw. There's two ways to earn a diamond. you go to war for it and you put sweat, blood, and tears in it, or you get blessed. But there's a lot of clubs throwing patches that if you're going to stand for that patch and actually put in the work, then do what you want to do. But as long as stand by that patch, don't be hiding anywhere. So I mean, sometimes I fall on the line of following, protocol, but at the same time, I'm like, if there's clubs been out there, and almost every club started out that way, right? They kind of started their own way and pushed through, but over the years, in testament of hard work and dedication, they're still here. But not many clubs can do that. So,
I got a question that just came in, actually twice, for Wild On. Brother, folks are asking to see your shirt because you didn't know this, but you, me, and I think Shaggy, we're in a T-shirt war that you started. You didn't even know you was in that fight.
hold on.
You got to show your shirt.
Here we go.
We need to see it.
Which one? The one I wore earlier.
Okay, let's see it. All right.
Yeah, man.
So,
I had that shirt on, and then I just put this stuff in the hand, get wild. I gotta be like BD and some of these guys.
What is that? An eggplant? What the hell is that?
BD does not. He's too old to know what the hell it is.
All right. Hey, look.
You know about emojis? That means
That's an eggplant chasing a peach? What the hell?
the peach means some poo-tang or butt. That's talking pussy, basically.
You know what the eggplant is, right? All right. Oh, hey, look. I wore this shirt right here. Let me show you. I wore this shirt right here specifically for the sheriff in my county, since I got to be a guest with him for a few days this week. So yeah, he's not a big fan of this or that. He don't like that stuff. So that's something just for him.
I got shirts lined up for months on end.
I think you're winning this war. Shaggy, what you wearing, man?
I'm wearing a club shirt. Like I said, I went on a bender with my brothers.
I got my baby Gap shirt on.
And working
Right
on
on.
motorcycles, and I walked in this morning, and I haven't been wearing a shit all day.
Oh yeah.
This lifestyle,
So,
man, you just can't help but not be wearing a shit come Sunday morning.
That's it.
So, I want to get back to the thing. So, as you were saying, Bone, on our in our lifestyle, on our side of the fence, we are really just now getting to a point where our clubs are actually interacting with COCs and things like that. This is I'd say within 3 or 4, maybe 5 years, is this really something that's happening where all the sets are really coming together. Back when we made Biker Boys, which was 20 years ago, the sets were almost completely separate. You might ride over to one of those guys' clubhouses once in a blue moon, but clubs were pretty much detached. You had set boundaries and set territories, and now that you have all these clubs expanding out all across the country, like my own, we go to places. We had never heard of a white dominant motorcycle club in an area that was going to tell us what to do until we started getting out into places where there was no black OMCs, and we had to figure out how to understand the COC and things like that. So, very much who determines, the premise of the show, the question that Wild said, who determines what club is legitimate? And one of the things would be where you are, what color you are, but sometimes what color you are doesn't matter if where you are, the dominant is of a certain, is not of the color that you are. There are councils.
Here's what makes you legitimate: how you carry yourself, how you conduct yourself, how your club carries themselves, how they conduct themselves, the process in which they followed, and the amount of respect they have earned and maintained. That's the only way it works. If you don't follow that, you can say you're legitimate all day long, but if every motherfucker in the planet hates your guts and don't recognize you, look, you could have one dominant club that could say, hey, man, they're legitimate, we approve them. That doesn't mean every dominant club out there is going to go, okay, they approve them, we approve them. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all.
there's work. There's work that has to be done. And like what you were saying a second ago, Wild On, I wanted to point this out too. So I'm not against the idea of a new club. I'm against the idea of 50 of them a week, every week for the past 5 years. I'm against folks just slapping together a club just because today's Tuesday or something like this. So that, because again, the benefit, the set, the integrity of the set is the thing that has to be protected. And those of us that dictate how that stuff is supposed to go, we have to do our job. And by the way, in certain sets, it's not necessarily the dominant that's the one that handles that. The dominant will oversee it in certain areas, but a lot of times it's the clubs in that community that are going to dictate to that potential new club or that potential new member, hey, here's how things are supposed to go. One more thing about the doggone something you said a second ago, doggone BD. You were saying about, all right, never mind, I forgot. I'll come back to it.
Old age.
Yeah, man, that's it.
Well, and that's true about, like you said, there's, of course, I'm like, yeah, you can close, but like, if there's like 50 clubs a week, it does get, obviously we're exaggerating to a point, not really, because across the United States, every week I get messages from people say, hey, I'm going to present this to the COC, or I'm going to start this club, and there's long stories and people slapping on diamonds, and sometimes it gets watered down. It makes you guys who do wear the diamonds, who earn that diamond, who wear it proudly for the history of your club. Sometimes they might put you in a bad limelight of this is what a 1%er is.
Well, I think here's an interesting thing that people might have been blown away by tonight to discover is that even 1% motorcycle clubs have a thing they walk through to make sure that they don't step into a place where they got war. When a 1%er place is coming to a new town, they follow certain things too. They let certain people know too. So it's not like we don't all follow some kind of allegiance to the protocol that we're trying to follow.
Oh, BD, the thing. Okay, I remember what it was. We kind of touched on this a little earlier, or what you were saying as far as the thing that dictates that club being legitimized might be where you are, what color you are, and so forth. I've seen it getting literally right down to, well, how many members do you have in the club? And out of those members, how many of them are black? How many of them are white? How many of them are Mexican? And when that stuff is not real clear, the question then becomes, well, what color is your chapter president? Okay, and
I've never asked that question, but what I've asked is,
that's the thing.
What I've asked is because it's clearly defined here. We got the black side, we got the white side, and they'll say, well, we've got a mixed club, and here, if you're in a mixed club, black side handles that. We don't,
right.
Because I think the reason why the white side don't want to touch that, I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty smart in this area, I would think. You don't want to get caught up in a trick bag of the racism or, oh, you're picking on that club because they're mixed or whatever. We don't handle real well with the way we talk with each other as it is. So it's damn, I don't know if it's easier or if it's just something that.
Shaggy, it really depends on where you are because
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
As I've opened up these clubs all across the United States, it'll be some place will say you're a mixed club. You go deal on the black side. You go deal with the OMCs over there. But others will say, well, how many white folks do you have? And if you're 63% white, you're not a black club. We're going to take you. And if you're 63% black, then you're, and so it still comes down to black or white. The other thing I've seen is a limitation on, okay, you can come here, but you can't have any more than 5 white guys. It gets ridiculous. Wow.
I love this kind of shit. I just learned something new. I've never heard that before. That's crazy.
I'll tell you, John, I'll tell you one thing. I have a job getting my fucking head round all this black set, white set, and all this stuff, I really do.
What is it like in the UK? Do you guys have a black set there, or I know you have multiple colored people. Do you have black set, white set? Do you have that issue?
I've never seen it really sort of split like that. You know, I've never. You know, I mean, let's put it this way. When I moved into my pub, obviously I don't drop names of clubs, as you guys know. But when I moved into my pub, you know, I was welcomed by the official support club of a very large MC over here, and it was 2 black guys and a white guy that was their internal support crew. So you know, I've never really seen it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never really sort of seen you know, a divide like that. And you know yourself, John. I sent you a link a long time ago. Obviously, we don't want to go into it, obviously, here, and it might be something you might want to share with Big Bone and Shaggy and Wild on 2. But I sent you a link many years ago when we first started talking about a particular club, and you just could not get your freaking head round it.
Oh, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that might be something to show Big Bone, because I'm sure he'd be very interested in seeing that.
Yeah.
Dibber, I wanted to ask you, Dibber. I heard tell sometime back, I've got some friends in the UK, and this one guy he's a black guy. He wrote this book about the motorcycle culture in the UK. And one of the things that he told me, this is a couple of years ago, he told me that there's a certain American club that this one club wanted to have the same name. They wanted to open a chapter in the UK. And when the Americans went over and they met with this club, they discovered that this club had 3 black guys in that club. And of course, they shut them down, and, you know, in an unpleasant fashion, you know. And it was because of the fact that this club in the UK was trying to start their version of it in the UK, and the American version of that club didn't allow blacks in that club. You know, what's that thing they say, Shaggy, the 3 C's?
And, no cunts, no cops, no colors.
Yeah. And
I'm just repeating it.
That was a problem for
Well, I don't know about that one, Bone, but I can tell you for sure that there was a particular club over here that absolutely did have a black member. He died in police custody, and you know, he was very respected. They've still got a bar that's dedicated to him to this day. If you have a word with John after the show, he'll send you the links and stuff for it. It's pretty interesting stuff. But I don't know about the situation that you were speaking of.
Actually, you guys are talking about the same club.
Okay.
Oh, are we?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Big Bone, there was a question that someone was asking. What makes it was toward you? What makes an MC a nation? And then Eric answered this right after he said that. He said, Eric told him that when that MC rides for each other, especially across state lines, that makes a nationwide MC, knowing that no matter how long the distance between each other, one for all for one. But what's your take on like that? What makes MC a nation?
If you've got 2 chapters, let's say you got one in North Carolina and you got one in California, that does not a nation make. I mean, you travel the nation. As if that club is doing that, you know, they're doing cross country. That's cool. But that's not what a nation is. And I've heard it described in a lot of different ways. I heard that if you're 5 chapters in 5 states for 5 years, well, you're a legitimate national club. But if you're 10 states, 10 chapters for 10 years or better, that would be a nation. Now, that's just sort of like the rule of thumb that I've heard so much. But typically, if you're a nation, you know that you're a nation. You know what I mean? It's not the it's not what some, like, for example, there's a certain club in Florida where they've got I want to say 8 different chapters in the state of Florida and then one in North Carolina, and they for the longest time were referring to themselves as a nation, and I cringed every time I heard about it. And then you know, and I was hearing about it for a lot of years. So finally, when I had a certain amount of influence, I'm censoring myself. When I had a certain amount of influence, I encouraged them to identify themselves properly. And it sounds like a real little thing, but I'm a student of MC culture. I'm in love with it. And if I have the opportunity to make corrections and adjustments, then I do. Nothing wrong with that club. The club is a fine organization, but stay in your lane. You're not a nation. You're a Florida club who has a couple of three brothers up in North Carolina that you just wanted to say that you were a nation. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Clubs like Black Sabbath is a legitimate nation. They've been around for a long time. They're all over the place. They even got a movie star in the club. He was the national president. But
past national president.
But and the thing is, and by the way, a club that does not have to be a nation. There are some legitimate. There's a certain club I think of that's out of the Missouri area. I think they've only got a few chapters in that part of the world, and they do that part of the world better than a whole lot of folks. They've been doing it for a really long time. They've been calling shots and doing things out there for a long time. And guess what? They are not a nation, and they're damn proud about the fact that they're not a nation. They're like I don't know. They're like what's them guys like Earl Shive, if they are still around. They do one thing. They paint cars and they do it better than anybody. So there's a certain pride in that. You don't have to be a nation. And I don't think that's what the guy was asking, but that's just my 2 cents on that thing.
Well, we like the titles. We like the titles, and we like the trappings, and we love the it feels good to call yourself certain things. What I'm amazed about, Dibber, I have to tell you this, and it's always been amazing to me that if you're an MCC, you can't have a back patch or something like that.
No. We've got back patch MCCs over here.
Okay. So just right.
It's something that has to be earned.
Yes.
I
like how you put that, Dibber. It has to be earned. Right on, bro.
It has to be earned. It's not something, I mean, back in the old days when I first went into it in 1982, I joined a back patch MCC. And we ran exactly like an MC would run, and that's the time when I copped all this garbage that's on my forehead now. But obviously we had issues that were going on, and a lot of the clubs decided that they didn't want to be dragged into that, the conflicts that were going on between the back patch, and they dropped it and put it on the front. That a lot of the clubs did that. They put that old MCC on the front here because it separated them, like, with the splitting up of the patches and stuff to, the outlaw clubs separating themselves from the AMA clubs. Mm-hmm. We had a similar thing over here where, the back patch MCCs started to drop it off their back to separate themselves from the back patch politics. So, it's, but the club I was with, we didn't drop ours off, and, we didn't get involved in that politics either. So, but a lot of clubs did. They just dropped it, put it on the front, and But then again, I'm very protective about that old MCC thing. It's where I started.
Right.
It's and the guys that I was with, they ran that club, like an MC. It's. I mean, you saw what Spider Rider was like when he took over my channel when I was on chemotherapy, man. That guy was hardcore, man. He didn't take no shit, and he was my sergeant at arms. He was my sponsor when I first went in.
That guy has your back like 300%, man.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I mean, we have each other's backs. That's what it's all about. People, they talk about brotherhood and shit. Me and that guy still call each other brothers, and we've both been doing different things ever since he was deported from the UK. He makes no issue about the fact that he was deported from the UK either.
He probably left with the middle finger in the air too, did he?
Yeah. Well, the thing of it is, I mean, it's how things are. I know that he's snuck back into the country, and he doesn't make no fucking secret of that either.
That's my kind of dude right there.
But no, I mean that guy. I mean, when I was 18 years old, and I'd already known the guy for a number of years. And I mean, because I already knew him, and I knew guys that were in that club, I mean, I was literally, they got, those guys put me through fucking hell because they wanted to make a point that there was no favoritism being shown or anything like that. You know, they're the guys that, you know, when I was made up to a full patch, they're the guys that made me walk across the fucking canal in the snow in the middle of winter when there was fucking snow on the ground, minus bloody 3 degrees, to go and get my patch from the other side of the river, which was, you know, sitting in another brother's hand on the other side. You know,
Yes. Really?
they put me through it, you know, because they didn't want to see any favoritism being shown.
Right.
And I, you know, I loved being in that club. It was just a shame it went the way it went. You know, it's, you know, and that's another reason why I always say you always got to have the right people sitting in officers' positions, because it was seriously the fact I was laying in hospital after having a really major motorcycle accident, and I held an officer's position at that time. And my old mate Spider, he was having a holiday, care of Her Majesty's service, and, you know, other guys stepped up to the plate and they just didn't have what it took to keep the club going. By the time, you know, I got out of hospital, and, you know, yeah, it's history. You know, you've heard this story a million times when you get the wrong people at the top as well.
You know, we have the same kind of saying on holiday. We say on vacation. So
Yeah.
funny how it would be the same kind of saying. But you know, there was another question on here, and you kind of brought this up, Bone and Shaggy. You guys really kind of brought this up because Shaggy, you said one club may accept you and another may not. So that was one of the questions. What do I do if we have, you know, more than one dominant in an area, which wasn't really the case when I got started, and now it very much is the case. So what do you do when you have more than one dominant in an area? To answer this guy's question, how do you get accepted by everyone?
I love this question. I love this question a lot. So, as we always talk about it, all our conversations every week, I always talk about it in my videos. Dibber's talked about it for 20 years in his videos. What you do is you pull your bootstraps up nice and tight. Make sure your boots don't come off. Walk your happy ass to every fucking club you walk into. Stick your paw out there. Introduce yourself. Introduce your club. Do things the right way, and you'll be surprised how easily it is to get that conversation going. Then that club, once you get that conversation going, that club will say, "Hey, man, come on down to the clubhouse. Let's have a talk." You know, and then you can. It's always good to tell them, because I went through this, man. I literally went through this process. When I was starting that in my former club, when I was starting the chapter here, I had to go to all them clubs. And then when Missouri seemed to open up and a whole bunch of new diamonds came into town, I went up to those diamonds and I stuck my paw and I told them, "Hey, you know, we were approved and sanctioned by such and such club. We know there might be issues, but we're a neutral motorcycle club. We stick our paws out in respect, and that's how it goes." The one thing you have to understand is you always have to keep your ego in check, and you always have to be very respectful. If you don't, you're not going to get recognized, because all you're going to do is piss the people off, and then they're going to want to come after you. Show the respect. You'll get respect. You'd be surprised how easy it is to just. It takes time, but how easy it is to just be able to be a part of the community. The whole thing is being a part of the community, being respectful, sticking your paw out there, introducing yourself. We're all men. Act like a man. Conduct yourself as a man, and you'll be treated like a man. Simple.
You know, something that comes up as well that we didn't really get into, but something that comes up is, what if we touched on it a little bit, what if there's an existing club that has a nation, or maybe not even a nation, maybe they got 5 chapters in different states and like that. Well, chances are that club has different dominants in probably every one of those places. And now they're in your backyard and they want to start a new chapter. Guess what? And well, I'll speak about the way it is here. So you're an existing club. You want to start a new chapter in somebody else's backyard. It's everything that Shaggy just said. The dominant might have you in T-shirts for a little bit before you can put on those rags. They might have you take a little time, make sure that you actually know the community and the people within the MC community for where you are wanting to, for where you're wanting to get blessed. But typically it's exactly everything that Shaggy just said. You're going to bump some curbs. You're going to go to some clubhouses. You're going to go to a couple of events. You're going to stick your paw out and you're going to stand up like a man, introduce yourself. And, you know, we call them the jailhouse rules. Jailhouse rules are all predicated on respect. And if you can do that, and you know, everybody's a man for sure, but just because you're a man don't mean that you're going to be disrespectful. You know, and if you are going to be disrespectful, man, you damn sure better be able to back it up.
Or you better be able to back it up. You're going to lose
There's
some
something that
goddamn
goes
teeth.
along with the disrespect, you know?
That's right.
Dibber, do you guys have that kind of issue over there? Or is everything pretty settled?
Everything's pretty settled over here. You know, it's it's settled and it's pretty simple. You know, if you want to start a club, yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't talk about the MC side of things. I don't talk about that. You know, as far as I'm concerned, all that stuff should stay sacred. People shouldn't know about it.
Right.
But obviously, you know, I talk more from the MCC side of things, the RCs, that type of stuff, you know, because that's where a lot of the clubs start up over here. You know, it takes a special kind of group of people to become a backpatch club over here, you know, straight off the bat. It's not something that the absolute, you know, a bunch of guys down the pub decide to put a club together. You know, they're not going to be the sort that are going to be putting a back patch on because that's going to be coming off pretty damn quick. You know, it's that is something that has to be earned. You know, it's about earning that spot. You got to earn it. You know, and you know yourself. There's two ways of earning it. You know,
Yeah.
but for me, I talk about the MCC thing is something that I hold very dear to my heart. You know, even to this day, with everything else that I've done, you know, but it's pretty simple. If you want to start a club in the United Kingdom, yeah, you can either get to know some of the clubs where you are. They'll you know, direct you who you need to talk to. They'll probably make the introduction for you to the local coalition or alliance or whatever the group is called in that geographical area. You take your idea to them, you take the colours that you want to use to them, you take the name you want to use to them, and it will be decided by them whether or not you are going to be a club.
Right. Now, what about these Walmart riders? These Walmart guys are just doing whatever the hell they want.
Walmart riders have
They
never
never
come.
Got their blessings from Kmart.
No,
They're pretty scary.
And I'm telling you, if they go up against eBay guys, the eBay guys, they're gonna fucking own them. I'm telling you, because out of all of these online gangs, you know, because I will call them, because they're not clubs. These guys are not clubs. I've seen the way they hang out. I've seen the way they hang out. They're demanding respect, and you know, just because they're a group of people, they haven't earned it yet. But I'm telling you, you want to mess with the old school. The old school is eBay, mate. It was here before anybody else. You know, if you want your shop club, sanctioned, you come and talk to eBay MC, right?
No, look, let me tell you. Hey, Kmart, the Kmart riders, they're slashing more than just prices. I'm just saying.
They already sent me much of the emails, man. Kmart riders, man. They don't drop. They're called the forgotten few.
Yeah, right.
I got to tell you, I'm glad, Dibber, you got your stuff worked out, man. I want you to know that I am so thankful to you as a leader, as a role model, somebody that I never knew. And you see this guy on television, you see this guy on YouTube, and like, I would get all giddy, the first time you ever, like, oh my God, Dibber talked to me. And I just want to tell you, thank you, publicly, for all the time you spent just teaching me stuff. You didn't have to do that. We didn't agree on many things.
Oh, well, we still don't. And I think this is the thing, we over the years, and even still to this day, people try to get I think they try it more with me these days than they do with you. They know how I feel about the books. The books to me are something that just would not float over here. It's just, I know a lot of clubs and that have bought them, but over here, writing books and opening up how clubs are, how officers operate and all that, that's something we just don't do over here. That, it's, to me, that's like handing a manual to the old Bill. That's, but me and you, we've spoken about this on a very personal level. Look at our last conversation. It's nearly 2 3/4 hours long. We were discussing these sort of things. People, yourself, there's one particular person who was trying to get me and you to go against each other, because he knew that I had issues about the books and stuff, like I've got issues about the Holy Grail and all this, it's, but, at the end of the day, man, it's about respect, innit? I mean, let's be honest. I knew that you came into doing this with all good intentions. You came into doing this stuff on YouTube with all good intentions. It's just that, with America and over here, we do things different, we do things totally different. And that's what's so amazing about this life of ours, that we can be so different, yet be sitting in this room and still get on.
Yeah.
Our scene is totally different, but we still get on. Like I say, there's a lot of things we don't agree on, but at the end of the day, we're grown men and we can agree to disagree.
That's right. So something I would say, to follow up what Black Dragon said, I've been following you for 20-something years, and been prospecting another club under the MSN days, and man, even back then, to me, he's talking about how cool it was that he finally got to talk to you and somebody that helped him. But man, you started mentoring young guys like me back in the day with your videos, even though you were in a different country. Some of the things back then between the European side and our American side was still pretty close to the same back then. I mean, it was. It still is rough.
There's a lot of similarities, Shaggy. There is a lot of similarities, but there is a lot of things that we do totally different.
Well, I think generationally here in America, some of the generation stuff over there didn't quite turn the extreme corner like it did here. But the cool part for me was, man, when you called me when I was out at Nashville, that was like talking to one of your first heroes, man. Man, this is a fucking legit dude calling me, and I've been in the scene a long time, but it's very rare that you get to meet somebody who's inadvertently taught you something we've never met. We just back and forth on a computer, and how cool was that? And very humbling for me to have you call me and talk to you face to face. That man, you are a true shining light in this lifestyle, and you've really helped a lot of people, whether you believe it or not.
But it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. I felt the same when I was speaking to you, because all those years ago, it was all just tapping on a message board and a message forums, and I'd record a video, and it would be all really old, ratty old type video, and I'd do it with HTML coding and all this sort of good, all that sort of thing. So it's the same thing, sitting down, being out to chew the fat with a guy that's on the same level. I'm just a normal human being, the same as everybody else.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, that's what we all are. Me, you, John, Wild, Big Bone. We're just got normal guys at the end of the day, And I feel the same when I speak to you guys. It's an honour to be sitting in there with the people that I'm sitting in there with this evening. So it feels the same way for me, man.
And it goes with all the same thing where we can sit here for hours and talk, and we have never really met each other, but we have a lot of things that tie us together, even if we disagree with things. But it's just respecting each other's opinions and talking about it, really, rather than going back and forth.
And the love for that damn steel, baby. The love for the wind in our teeth. And I want to ride with each and every one of you guys at some point.
It's going to happen this year for me, for sure. I'm going to go try to travel, see everybody. Dibber will be the harder one.
I'll tell you what, as soon as all those restrictions come to an end, because
I think we all should go to Israel.
But the thing of it is like, I was supposed to be back in Israel last year. You guys know I'm a mixed race guy. You know, my grandparents were all brown-skinned people. The only reason I'm white is because my mum was white. You know, my grandma on my dad's side was a brown-skinned Sephardic Jew. You know, and my great granddaddy and my granddaddy and my great great granddaddy, they were Arabs. You know, so you know, I'm you know. So for me, I'm a mixed race guy, but I was supposed to be in Israel last year. Obviously, with the COVID struck, I was supposed to have moved out to Malta, but obviously a few other things kicked me in the balls and put a stop to that. But once the travelling starts, that's it. I'll be back out there. I'll be back out in Malta. I'll be back out in Israel. I've got some invitations to go out to a couple of particular places in Eastern Europe, which I've never been to before, which I'd like to see. Bring their culture to the front for everyone to have a look at. You know, these are clubs and people I've spoken to that don't mind the cameras, you know, because they know that I'm going to respect the way that I do it with them, like I did with the guys in Israel and like I do with the guys in Malta and anywhere else. Obviously, I don't put everything up on the tubes where I go, who I visit, but you know, hopefully once the stick in the crap, because I won't go into that fuckwittery. You know, the fuckeries of having that thing put up my nose, because they're turning it into a multi-billion-pound industry, and the more people that keep swallowing that bullshit, the more they're going to keep doing it to people, and the longer it's going to carry on. You know, so it is going to come to an end. The travel industry are not going to put up with them fuckeries for much longer. You know, but as soon as that stops with the old having, because for me, look, I can travel to Israel. I've got friends and family over there. You know, staying there, the cost of, you know, for me to stay over there is pretty cheap. It's just like the flights that are the expensive part. But when I put on top the price of the testing that has to be done for me to go to Israel, because I have to be tested before I go out. I have to be tested before I fly back. I have to be tested 2 days after I fly back into the UK. I have to be tested another 6 days after that. I have to make an application to the Israeli embassy, which we've never ever had to do before. Yeah, for an entry permit, that all has to be paid for. That adds an extra £500 fucking pounds to the price of me flying out there.
Damn.
Yeah. So, but once all these stupid fuckeries come to an end, I'll be on that plane and I'll be bringing a whole load of new content for you guys. You know. But yeah,
good deal.
Or everyone meeting out in Israel will be great. You guys would love the scene out there. They don't ramp.
Yeah, we absolutely have to do it. We got to put it together, and we're going to do it. Not we got to do it. We're going to do it. We're all going over there, and we're going to all ride together, and that is going to be.
I got family in Israel too. I don't know if people think I'm joking, but I say I'm a Cuban. I'm a Cuban Jew.
The Cuban Jews. Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, so you've got a Sephardic line then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot of Jews. You've got to bear in mind the old Spanish. You know, that's where the Sephardi name comes from. Spanish Jews, Sephardics. A lot of them went across. You'll find a lot of them in Mexico and places like that as well.
Yeah.
You know, so
you're always going to, when you talk to Dibber, you're going to learn something completely. You're just going to always learn something. That's
right.
Hey, if you stop learning, that means something's wrong. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, listen, we are we're out of time here.
Good.
To move on, so each person can have the final word about the subject matter or whatever you want to say about that to kind of get that out, and of course give a shameless plug to your channel. So we'll start with you on Wild on Twos.
Well, I mean, we kind of said all throughout the show about the topic itself. I mean, I can go really in depth about it, and probably sooner or later I will. But I'll leave it as that at what we spoke about already. But you guys can check me out, Wild on Twos. I'm on the show, also the pregame show with the Insane Throttle, Hollywood, and of course the round table. I do videos every Thursday about MC topics and other things coming up in the near future. So, and I do a t-shirt contest with a bunch of guys on here. And if anybody wants to talk about knocking someone out, I saw something about a comment. I mean, I don't know if you're talking about me itself. There's a place you guys can find me. Tell me where we can put a little 6x6 cage. No one jump in. I'm all good. I'm all down about stuff like that. So I think some people be talking about the wrong person sometimes. I don't know who they're talking about.
Yeah.
So we want to do it. I'll put it on YouTube.
Yeah, pay-per-view. We could do it pay-per-view, members only, you know, raise a bit of money for your old channel so that you can afford to go to Israel.
Do a 100 days for dogs, children.
I'm 58 years old, and I'm not fixing to play with nobody. I'm not fixing to take no ass whooping from nobody. I ain't started out taking none. I ain't been taking none. I'm not fixing to get knocked out. I didn't join no clubs where motherfuckers. Oh, excuse me.
That's
My fault.
That's my
My
job.
fault.
Black Bone, what are you, or Black Dragon, what are you doing? That's my job.
Yeah, I know.
Man,
We're rubbing off on him, Shaggy. Shaggy, we're rubbing off on him.
you guys know I
Well,
don't
it
do
took
that.
long enough.
But all I'm gonna say is I like to keep things where they need to be because that's the kind of man I choose to be. And I don't do all that. I'm way too old to play with people's children. I'm old.
I'm all about love, man. I'm all about getting together. And I'd rather have everybody on here, even the ones that people talk crap about. I'd rather have a real round table. Fuck, let's do it in person. And everybody sit down we'll have a whole table, have it webcammed out, and everybody out there together. It's just like two dogs. You put two dogs behind a fence each other. They're growling, act like they're going to attack. They open the gate.
Oh, that's a
I'm
funny
not
video. If you've ever
sniffing
seen the
nobody's ass. I'm here to tell you that.
Come
right
on,
now.
Shaggy.
So, Big Bone, you wanted to your final words, sir.
Okay, so just for clarity purposes, so I'm old too, not as old as you, but I'm working on it. But fortunately, like my sister and I talk about every now and again, I haven't had my ass kicked since the 70s, and I don't plan on it because I got problems. I don't know, but anyway. Somebody sent a message in a little earlier asking about the raffle that we're doing, and yes, you can still get raffle tickets. My what is that? That Cash App thing is Bone
of OFFO. Or,
yeah, I think it is. I think everything is Bone. The Cash App is Bone OFFO. You can get at me on Instagram is Bone OFFO. The Facebook is Bone OFFO, and the email address is bone.outcast@gmail.com. I'm building a studio in the house where we're going to start doing doing my show whenever the hell we get finished doing all of that stuff. But hey, y'all get at me, man. I've been hearing from so many folks about the show and other stuff, and it's humbling. I'm glad a lot of folks are telling us, fellas, that they're getting an awful lot out of this show, and I'm hearing it every single day. So please keep watching and get at me. It's Bone OFFO for pretty much everything. And, that's what I got. Oh, one last thing. Again, I got to say, here I go with folks. Fran Hash, absolute freaking best. My criminal attorney, Jerry T, a.k.a. Jerry Theophilopoulos, badass. He took care of my situation with a quickness. And, only 1% has got to thank their lawyers, right? What's up with that? But yeah, and there's also Christina Palin and Amanda Mackey. They're running for a senatorial and a congressional seat, both, and they are definitely pro-biker, pro-Second Amendment, and we love them all. But that's all I got.
Appreciate you. Shaggy, give us your final thoughts, sir.
He's frozen, but I'll talk for him soon. He wants to sniff butts with my baby Gap shirt.
Wow,
It is tight, man. This is ridiculous.
That's a schmedium. Is that an extra schmedium?
It's a large, actually.
Wow.
It's actually a large. That's how small I am, man.
We were doing good here. Did you change shirts again? Oh my lord!
I keep changing back and forth.
Okay. Dibber, are you still? Yeah, Dibber's still moving. Dibber, can we have your final thoughts, sir?
It was good to be on here with you guys tonight. It was an honor and a pleasure to participate in this. I'll pop in more often if you like. Stick my tuppenny worth in. rile
Oh,
a
yeah.
few people up, get the hair up on the backs of their necks, and
People forget
Yeah.
that it's like 2 a.m. right now or something over there where you're at.
it's nearly 3 a.m. actually now, so it's a late one, but I'm a night owl, and Shaggy's back. So, but yeah, thanks for letting me participate. Sorry about all the fuck up to start with, but
We're
now
used
we
to
know.
beating.
But now we know that when I use my phone, we don't have any problems with the audio. We don't have any problem with the video. It's obviously something to do with the computers. So we won't be going down that road anymore. We'll just be using the computer for doing it YouTube lives and that. But yeah, I'll come in more often. It was nice to tie up with you there, Bone. You're going to have to, look me up over on the old Facebooks or whatever if you're over there. Black Dragon, Wild, Shaggy, they've all got my Facebook, my private one that I don't really let the public in on. So come and hook up and we'll have a chat like I do with these guys.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it.
It was on.
I'm getting over to the UK in the next few months. I'm trying to get over to the UK as well, so we'll get to play some catch up and all that.
Well, wherever you get situated, let me know, and I'll take a journey out and sink a couple with you.
Right on. Thanks.
Hey, Shaggy, say something. You were frozen, man. I spoke for you.
Yeah, this thing and this technology, just like Dib said, the phone works better. Mine's actually on the tablet, and I got the phone so I can see the chat. So I kind of back and forth. It ain't a good show unless we have a whole bunch of technical difficulties. We got to end it with a bunch of technical difficulties. The last thing I want to say is everybody knows what show I'm on. I don't need to say it. But, man, Dibber, it was awesome having you on here. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Man, you're the godfather of this whole thing. And you have definitely made an impact on a lot of our lives. And you keep doing what you're doing because, as I tell the young guys that join a motorcycle club, those guys that started this stuff, the guys that founded it, we're on their coattails. And we owe them the utmost respect for doing this, and you open the door for a lot of people to do this, and it's absolutely an honor to sit here and speak with you. And I think our audience that come over from our shows plus yours coming together, man, we just hook the world up with a wonderful life that we live, and what a pleasure. Thank you.
Respect, man.
All right, guys, you guys all have a great evening. I'm
going to bed.
Yeah, all of it. Take care.
Peace. Till next week.
Next week. Man.
Take care, guys.
Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Man, I tell you what, it was just absolutely amazing to have Dibber and the Wind on the show. A person who has meant so much to me in terms of my development, especially in YouTube blogging. There are two people, Big Cell from Fast Harley's Only ATL GA, who taught me how to actually do this. And shortly after, when Dibber saw me struggling and tripping all over myself and trying to make this happen, he just reached out from just across the ocean to help prop me up. And being an African American individual trying to do this show was very very tough. And folks like them, Dibber, and of course there was another guy, Mikey 1%er, like guys I could just reach out and tell you about that really helped me. Hollywood, James Matsukara from Insane Throttle, and of course Big Cell from Fast Harley's Only. These guys did all these wonderful things for me, and they are responsible for the show, for the level of expertise, if we have that, or whatever the case may be. I believe it's important to reach out and accept and acknowledge the places that you came from, whether you agree with those people or disagree with those people. There's a lot of things we're seeing right now. There's been a little banter back and forth between channels and fighting between channels and people making all kinds of I don't believe that is necessary in what we do. It's not necessary. It's not responsible. And it doesn't put us at a good light. We're supposed to be influencers. We're supposed to be responsible. We're supposed to understand that we have a duty to inform and to teach and to make this lifestyle better and to carry on like children and these kinds of things. I chose a long time ago not to run my channel like that. And those of you who remember the big wars between myself and Chuck Gines, it was 3 years of immaturity and childish banter. We lost so much time showing you guys and teaching you guys things that make your lives better as bikers. And that is my mission. That's why I try not to curse, so I can get as many people on the platform as possible, people that would be offended by that sort of thing. We want this to be an inviting platform, and we've been able to get some very incredible people on that are the real deal out there. They belong in real deal motorcycle clubs. I don't care what anybody says about somebody's motorcycle club and they ain't this and they ain't. I've so much information, so much banter has come across, but you wouldn't go say that to nobody in that motorcycle club. You wouldn't walk into one of their chapters and talk that yin yang. So why would we do it online? It's crazy. The other thing I find is everybody that watches me is watching every other channel because you guys love this and you're going to watch every single channel. We share the same audiences. So I think it's important that we speak to you guys about the good things that motorcycle clubs can do and can be. We have so many external enemies. It doesn't matter what side of the tracks you come from, what race you are, whatever. The world has gotten smaller. You know, black clubs, when I first came out, nobody even really knew we were there. They see us now. We're out there. So we start to get the same issues that everybody else gets. The idea of what makes a legitimate club, I think, or who decides what club is legitimate. I think that maybe you will understand that coming onto the bike set, getting yourself in a motorcycle club and getting one started up, it's a difficult thing to do. 90% of clubs don't make it 3 to 5 years. And then those that make it the 3 to 5 years, within about 10 years break down, 90% of those. And then 90% of the ones that are left are gone in 20 years. It takes a whole lot to be a 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old motorcycle club. But if you're trying to start one out, you should start it out with the idea that I would like my club to be around 70 years from now. So start it out like you should, by putting together the things that are going to be necessary to ensure your longevity. And so it's much easier to follow some kind of procedure that would ensure your survival rather than put you headlong into facing all these challenges that you really don't have to face. I'm not a proponent for anybody kissing anybody's butt or anything like that. I don't believe in that. But if you're trying to come into a culture, it would be the same if you were moving into Rome. That's why they made this thing called, if in Rome, do as the Romans do. It's the same no matter where you go. No matter what playground you're on, you're going to find out the rules on that playground. And if you want to survive there, you're going to figure out the rules and how to play by them. Of course, now there are some people that are so bad, whatever playground they go to, they're going to own. If that's you, do your business. But understand there's some stuff going on that you need to know about, and you need to know about how to do it well. Let me go ahead and play this for you, and you guys tell me what you think. Prepare yourself to take the helm as president of your mighty motorcycle club by delving into the pages of Black Dragon's newest book, The President's Bible, Chronicle 1, Principles of Motorcycle Club Leadership. There you will learn to advance your skills in applying the 14 scientific principles of leadership similar to those taught to officers in the United States Naval Service. Available in hardcover, paperback, and ebook, Get yours today on Amazon, Kindle, or order it at your local bookstore. Order your autographed copy from blackdragonsgear.com. Be the best motorcycle club president you can be. Get the book. All right, man. That was my newest book, President's Bible, 14 Principles of Leadership. And what this book tells you and teaches you about is how to lead men. Or if you're a woman's motorcycle club, how to lead women, I suppose. It teaches you the principles of leadership, how to be a leader of people, using things like, oh my goodness, I'm trying to remember some of the 14 principles. That's crazy. I draw a blank. But things like honor, loyalty, integrity, discipline, courage. These are principles of leadership. And a lot of times you don't get taught these things or shown these things. So it's important that as you become a leader in your motorcycle club, that you learn some of these scientific principles of leadership. And so that's why I wrote the book, President's Bible, Chronicle 1, Principles of Motorcycle Club Leadership. These are the same principles that I was taught as a military person in the United States Navy, leading the men that were underneath me. Anyway, I'm Black Dragon. This is live on my Dragon's Lair Motorcycle Chaos podcast that you can download and listen to it there. And also you can please forward this, share it, like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. Get the book, President's Bible. You can get it on Amazon, Kindle, or at blackdragonsgear.com. Autographed copy you can get from blackdragonsgear.com. This is 444 pages, 122,000 words about how to be a good, responsible, intelligent, and caring leader. One who can get things done for your brothers and your sisters and your extended family of your mighty motorcycle club nation. I'm Black Dragon, ex-national president, former national president of the mighty Black Sabbath Motorcycle Club Nation, and host of your channel here, Black Dragon Biker TV, on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. BikerLiberty.com is my online news magazine. The Dragon's Lair, Motorcycle Chaos. That is my podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and iTunes, wherever you might get your podcast. I would like to thank you all for tuning in. That's my 2 cents, as well as the other guys on the show, their 2 cents. We'd love to hear your 2 cents in the comment section below. Thanks for tuning in, and get skinny. And that really sucks because I don't have my outro music here. I wonder what happened to that. All right, let's see if this is it. See how that works.